Sean O'Malley is set for the biggest fight of his career at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi later this year, against the ever-dangerous Petr Yan, and Suga has recently been discussing what it would mean for him if he failed to get past the world-class Russian brawler, suggesting it wouldn't be a disaster. Today, we are discussing O'Malley's claims that he won't lose confidence if Yan beats him. Stay with us. Let's jump straight in then. What did Suga have to say? The bantamweight division is set for a huge shakeup at UFC 280, with the title also on the line, and Sean O'Malley has been giving his thoughts on what the whole deal will mean for him. Speaking to BT Sport in London last week before the UFC London card, O'Malley has claimed that he won't lose confidence if the former champ scores the W over him in the United Arab Emirates. O'Malley hasn't fought anyone of Yan's ability before, so it will be an interesting test for him, but if he doesn't manage to get the win, he has said it won't affect him negatively. He told the British broadcaster, "Say I go out there and lose to Petr. I'm not going to lose confidence. I'm not going to be like, oh, I suck. I lose to the #1 guy in the world. I'm going to get that back someday." Suga went on to say that he knows how good he is and he doesn't have to beat the #1 guy in the division to prove it. Some might say that's exactly how it works though. Going into the fight as the underdog, O'Malley went on to say, "Losing to Petr wouldn't be the end of the train. I'm still going to be champ. It's such a huge opportunity. I'm so excited. I just want to go back home and train. We can't wait." Who have you got? Next up, O'Malley has been speaking about Fightopia. The Montana native is a strong vocal supporter of Dana White and has on numerous occasions backed the boss on his pay policy, with many fighters and commentators speaking out about a recent nauseating video which saw UFC boss White gift one of the Nelk boys $250,000 for his birthday. O'Malley was quick to defend White, saying it's his own money. In the past, O'Malley had said he wouldn't fight a higher-ranked opponent unless he was given a pay rise. However, given the fact he has recently signed on to fight Yan, you would assume he has been granted his wish. But his recent words suggest otherwise. He said, "I'm not getting paid more now that I'm fighting Petr. I didn't ask for more money. Fighting the #1 guy, I'm just gonna go out there and take advantage of the opportunity, and that is to fight Petr." Going into the issue in a little more detail, O'Malley revealed, "I'd say I'm happy with where I'm at in the UFC, with how I'm being paid, how I'm being treated," before going on to say, "I'm definitely happy. It's really been a perspective change in looking at the UFC as more of a platform for me to sell merch. I mean, why not? The UFC uses their fighters to sell merch, so why shouldn't it be the other way around too?" O'Malley then spoke of how he looks at it like a business opportunity, which more fighters should too, to be honest. What do you think of Sean's outlook? DC has been speaking about the matchup now. Stay with us. UFC analyst and former 2-weight world champion Daniel Cormier has been discussing the O'Malley vs. Yan matchup this week, suggesting that Sean is brave for taking the fight. I mean, it's his job, right? O'Malley continually claims to be the best and biggest draw, so he has to fight these guys sooner or later. Yan's boxing is some of the best around, but DC suggested O'Malley can use his longer reach to his advantage, as well as his height, saying he feels he has advantages in certain areas. Before referring to his impressive attributes, Cormier then gave us an insight to how he thinks O'Malley might be viewing the matchup, suggesting Sean believes Yan is probably the most manageable matchup in the top 5. Cormier has also claimed that the shorter 3-round fight will benefit O'Malley more than Yan, saying, "We have seen Petr Yan start slow early and then calculate his way through the later rounds and then dominate. You can't start slow in a 15-minute fight, so maybe he takes more risk." And Sean and his coaches look at that and go, "Hey, that gives me more opportunities to get at this dude." However, if Cormier and O'Malley are aware of Yan's perceived slow starts, then Yan is too, so don't expect him to not address this in his fight camp. Do you agree with DC? Next up, O'Malley has explained why he won't be fighting Munhoz again. Pedro Munhoz was forced out of his bout with O'Malley at UFC 276 thanks to an eye poke by O'Malley, and Sean has since spoken out about why he won't consider fighting the tough bantamweight again. O'Malley believes he won the fight over Munhoz, although neither fighter was dominating before the bout was called off. However, O'Malley went on to show his limited class after the fight, mocking Munhoz for not being able to carry on. When asked on the MMA Hour if he would be open to a rematch with Munhoz, Suga said, "No, there's no way." He went on to suggest that plenty of fighters before Munhoz had carried on after being poked in the eye, claiming that it was obviously an accident, before saying, "I just really don't feel like that did enough damage to completely stop that fight." O'Malley even suggested the groin strike didn't land either, insinuating that Munhoz was looking for a way out of the fight. He categorically shut the idea down by going on to say, "There's no need for that fight to happen again. It's not like he's a draw. It's not like he's a big name." O'Malley's words could be seen as somewhat disrespectful, but as we've seen many times in the past, he doesn't seem to care about how he comes across. Would you like to see O'Malley and Munhoz run it back? Let us know below. O'Malley has revealed a cryptic message he has received now. Stay with us. American kickboxer Andrew Tate recently slid into the Suga Show's DMs with a slightly bizarre message. O'Malley revealed earlier this week that the kickboxer turned reality star recently messaged him, simply saying, "Let's do it." Tate is a divisive figure in the States at the moment, largely due to his thoughts on women and society, and he has also called called out Jake Paul since his foray into boxing, which we would love to see, to be fair. It is thought Tate is worth about $100 million after his recent successful business ventures, but O'Malley wasn't sure what he was referring to with the DM. Speaking this week, Sean revealed he said, "Let's do it." That's all he said. I don't know what the expletive it meant, but I said, "Let's do it." He's an expletive character. Just out of nowhere, blew up. Very, very strong opinions. I like his idea of girls having to get the numbers of their body counts on their forehead. That was like one of the best ideas. Gross. If indeed Tate was calling O'Malley out, it is a little bit of a strange one considering he weighs upwards of 200 pounds, while Suga fights at 135, describing himself as the most top man when comparing himself to Jake Paul recently. Tate also said, "I would destroy him." Paul, is there any way that both of them will be knocked out at the same time? And finally, O'Malley's fellow bantamweight TJ Dillashaw has been discussing Paddy Pimblett again. Disgraced former champion Dillashaw has once again been speaking about Pimblett following the popular Scouser's third UFC win in a row last weekend. Appearing on the MMA Hour, Dillashaw, who was banned for 2 years after being popped for PEDs, suggested that Pimblett's food binges will stop him ever progressing in the organization. TJ referenced his own career in which he spoke of always being prepared before fights, something which Pimblett actively shunned, saying that he would rather be fat and happy between fights. Fair enough. Dillashaw, though, who is in no position to judge anybody, said, "When you're coming up in the UFC, you should be able to take fights on a week's notice. Right after I fought, 7 days apart, I fought a fight when I was coming into the UFC because I was always in the gym, always getting better. I was ready." Good for you, TJ. But everyone is different, right? Everyone's path is different, and Pimblett will also probably choose not to cheat to get ahead, something which TJ cannot claim. To be fair, he's lucky to even have a title fight after just the one win since returning. We would keep our opinions to ourselves if we had been publicly disgraced the way he was. What do you guys think? As always, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to join us again next time when we'll be discussing all sorts of cool bits and pieces. And why not do us a solid by liking today's video, whilst also sharing with any UFC heads you know of. Bye, guys!